In this video, I want to show the correction of the making of these dovetail joints on these angled pieces. It's a complex angle from several directions, and last time I did some videos, I made a mistake on the laying out of these joints. I'll show you what the mistake is. Here is what I made in the last video, and there's a slight interference when you draw the end piece out of the dovetail joint. I'll draw it on the axis of the side, which is at an angle, not the red axis. And it's very slight, but there's a very small interference between that pin and the socket. It's very small, and perhaps you could get away with it on this size of dovetails and it wouldn't be noticeable, but it's not correct. The dovetail joint fits together like a glove when it's all together, but in the putting together of the pieces, there will be that slight interference. Now here is the joint with these extensions of the end and the side pieces. This is the way I want to work the two planks in the shop, longer than they need to be, and they will be hand planed after gluing. And with the correction, you can see here that there is no interference, and they slide perfectly together throughout the distance of the joint. So the way to do this properly, I'll show in the next part of this video. Here are the blank pieces, again squared off and extended so that they are longer. And the first thing I'll do is intersect faces on both of these pieces to get these critical intersect line edges on the two components. And I'll pull the foot end piece out where we can work on it. And there's going to be a little bit of cleanup here, because when you put two square planks together at these angles, you're going to get some little anomalies. Here's an edge that needs to be deleted. A couple edges up here that are created with that intersect that need to be deleted. I don't need that line. Now, this line is critical to know, and it doesn't go all the way up to the top edge, so I need to extend it just a little bit. Click on that edge. Now I've got a good connection there. It's okay down at the bottom. It is connected. And I'll get rid of the guideline on this face, the inside face. I can see there's an extension there to get rid of, and I don't need this line. And now we're ready to do the layout of the dovetails. First thing is to divide this line into 7 segments, and then draw some guidelines down to those segments. Grab the protractor and lay out an angle. I use 10 degrees for the angle of these dovetails. Bring that down and do the same at the lower part of the pin in the opposite direction. and then with the line tool trace over these two guidelines, and that pretty much describes the size and the shape of the dovetail. This is a critical edge up here. It's at an angle. It's not on the red axis. It's where that side comes in at an angle, and you have to zoom in close to make sure that it's connected properly. First thing here is to copy that angled edge down to the pin here, connect that to the angled line that we placed, and another copy of this angled edge to the other face of the end, and let's clean this up a little bit. We need to draw this line. This is where I made the mistake in the earlier setup and layout. This edge here is not on the red axis as I had done previously. So we get an inside face, the top part of the pin, and I can now copy down that same angled piece at the back and copy this angled piece over to the other face. Zooming in is critical to making sure of accurate connections. And this I don't want on the red axis, and zoom in. I'm still getting a red axis, which is wrong. There it is. Click. Now I've got the face that I need. Those two faces really describe the hard part. I'll copy that. There's the pin, and I grab this midpoint and copy it down to the other line segment endpoints. One more, there it is, click. And that's the second pin, and then we got one more pin. So we've got equal sized pins and tails in this dovetail joint. Now we need some cleanup here to get the sockets, and I'll just click the eraser on the corner, knocking out that area, and then I've got some faces to reverse, knock out the next socket. Oh, I see I don't have a face back here. I need to get that face. I'll just trace over one of the edges. There it is. And I'll need to correct that. Reverse faces. So I really need to trace over all of these edges here so that I don't have that missing face. Here it is traced over. I might as well do it on the other two sockets. Go down here and get that one. I think this one's good, but I'll just do it. And then I see a missing edge down here at the bottom. And that brings up the face. Good. So we can go back to cleaning up with the eraser tool. And reversing faces. That looks good. There's still some edges that need to be cleaned off the face and back here on this face so that the pins look like that. And we've got a good layout of the pins, and it's pretty straightforward to then trace over and complete the other connection on the side piece.